The Occupy movement has not been evicted. It isn't dead. It's very much alive. And it's infiltrated into places you'd never expect. Glenview Senior Public School in Toronto has an infestation. Glenview's in the middle of the affluent Lawrence Park neighborhood, hallowed hall of learning for children of professionals, many of whom are in the 1%, the top. As reported by the National Post, the latest grade 7 class assignment on so-called critical thinking taught them about the Occupy movement. This is critical thinking, folks. They're being instructed to write chants and slogans. As one 12-year-old told a peeved-off parent who wants to remain anonymous, the chants were really rants against the, quote, billionaires and millionaires who don't pay any taxes. The principal has declined to comment on whether this was the action of one teacher or an official part of the school's curriculum. But the writing is on the chalkboard. Yet another example of indoctrination in the classroom. Time for some Friday Fury. Anthony Furey, an Ottawa comment editor for the Ottawa Sun. Anthony, you are totally into this stuff, into trying to push back the hands of politically correct time. What's going on?
What's going on? What's going on is what's going on in every school these days. The idea that a public school is some sort of breeding ground for social justice, religious accommodation, political correctness. You know, I guarantee you, Charles, go into a grade 8 class and say, what's 7 times 4? And they're going to be clueless. Their jaws are going to drop, and they're going to go, I don't know. I have no clue what you're talking about. But you ask them, you know.
I can give you the answer. 7 times 4 is something the top 1% can do. That's what 7 times 4 is.
Which is how you get into the top 1%.
I don't have to do because I can just be a jughead and throw rocks at the 1%. You know, that's what they used to do in really dumb-ass countries, and that's what these people want Canada to turn into. Now, let me just ask you this, because everything in life these days is about being bored and then finding distractions. Is it possible that the people inside the educational system are actually bored with the basics, and so now they've gotten this new thing going on called politically correct ideology? Is it possible that these people are just really bored with their gigs?
Well, I know it's called finite mathematics, but there's actually quite a lot of it, and it should be able to keep you busy for an entire semester. It's not that finite. Last time I checked in English class, the complete works of Shakespeare take longer than 1 year to read in English class. So your theory might be right. Really, I just think people have this sense that, oh, I'm becoming a teacher to change the world. And also a lot of teachers' colleges, OISE and Toronto, that's a breeding ground for radicalism. Anytime one of those crazy George Galloway people comes to speak in Toronto, in all fairness, Galloway actually spoke at York University, but they either speak at OISE or they speak at York. It's this breeding ground for insanity. I mean, teachers are taught to behave this way. I don't know if they're even taught the regular subjects, and that they're taught to present those things. And you make a perfectly good point. I mean, why should we learn math? Why should we learn science? Why should we get good grades? There's people out there who have more money than us. We should just learn to argue to take their money away so we can have it.
Look, you talk to rank-and-file union members. I don't care whether you're talking about people who build buses and cars or people involved in the public sector, and you have a frank conversation with them over a cup of coffee, and they'll be the first to tell you that they are not interested in all of the political issues, world issues, social issues that their union leaders are interested in. Their union leaders get into this kind of stuff because they're not doing any jobs. They're not working, so they're bored. So they get into the stuff that attracts them to the idea of going to seminars all over the world to change the world. But it's got squat to do with what the worker's looking for, just a tough negotiator at the bargaining table to get a raise.
Well, which is bizarre, because I think you're completely right. When you talk about a lot of public sector workers, I agree that they're not all like Sid Vicious Ryan, who are trying to raise their pay scale as much as possible and to just have all these busybody activities to dig holes and fill them again. A lot of just rank and file union workers are average Joes who are right wing, left wing, whatever. They're not anything wing. But the school board, Charles, I think there's something particularly maniacal that gets into some teachers' heads that they have this idea to instill their idea of justice upon students rather than just simply teaching them the facts. Although I know a lot of teachers, and they are actually freaked out at how it's become an environment like this. You know, you're not allowed to, kids are terrorizing the teachers. They're swearing at them, they're hitting them. The teachers are not allowed to talk back. The teachers are not allowed to say, hey, don't behave that way because, oh, you're going to offend their diverse sensibilities or something. I mean, it's just a mad war zone now in public schools.
Well, Well, you know, the teachers may be bored with doing what we call the basics, but here's the problem with all of this. This stuff that you're offering up, that we're now discussing, this stuff is really boring to most students. Coming up with chants for burned out Woodstockers that occupy Toronto, I mean, how exciting is that?
Well, and it's funny you put it that way, because you do wonder, who are these particular teachers who were doing this, and what does this sort of instruction tell us about them? I mean, parents at that Glenview school are particularly livid to learn that this is happening. Normally, what would happen is the Parent-Teacher Association in a community would get together, get involved in the school, and that would somehow reflect the ethos of the school community. Clearly, there's a disjunct going on here where essentially these teachers are encouraging the kids to get angry at their parents, to write things about the way their parents make their cash.
This one's dropped dead easy in that neighborhood in Toronto. The teachers are envious of the parents who make much more money than teachers, and so the teachers want to turn little Johnny and Janie on to their parents, kind of like a Chinese cultural revolution, you know, Mao Zedong style, where we want you to attack your parents. Your parents are parasites. That's what they were told in China way back then, and you've got some people who are doing Cultural Revolution Redux in Lawrence Park, Toronto, of all places. Anthony Furey, thanks for the Furey on Fridays, as always.
Anytime.